In previous videos, we have covered the core concepts of property. The key feature of private property is excludability, the legal right to keep others out. This is justified by efficiency, liberty, and social order. But today, we also face critique due to environmental and housing issues. Contractual licenses are not property rights but may be enforced in equity, as in Arrington versus Arrington. Weiner versus Eaton reminds us that property is not a thing but a bundle of rights. Alternatives exist in commons, public ownership, and trust models. In Victoria versus Taylor, the High Court refused to recognize property in a spectacle. Possession is factual control, whereas seisin reflects feudal lawful holding. Cases such as Asher versus Whitlock and Perry versus Clissold reinforce that possession itself is a defensible title. In previous videos, we have also looked at estates and native title. Under feudal tenure, the crown retains ultimate ownership or dominium directum, while tenants hold the utile or beneficial use. In Australia, all title derives from the Crown, which holds radical title post-Mabo. Early colonial law relied on terra nullius, despite the reality of native tenure. We also distinguish between remainders, which go to a third party, and reversions, which remain with the guarantor. Title may vest even while possession is delayed. The old common law requirement that remainders vest immediately has been abolished in Victoria by statute. Mabo confirmed that radical title coexist with native title. Native title is communal, based on traditional laws and customs, and can only be surrendered to the Crown. It may be extinguished by inconsistent grants, as in Western Australia versus Ward. However, the Native Title Act validates some acts and provides compensation. Exclusive possession allows exclusion of others. Non-exclusive rights coexist with other uses. In previous videos, we have also examined fixtures and adverse possession. A tenant may remove fixtures if installed for trade, ornament, or domestic purposes, provided they are removed before the lease ends. Where contracts clearly state that an item remains a chattel, ownership is preserved. Otherwise, annexation and purpose determine whether it becomes a fixture. In Elliston versus Morris, the court recognized three categories: chattel, fixture, and part of the land. Turning to adverse possession, when dispossession occurs, the limitation period begins to run. If the limitation period expires, the paper title holder loses legal rights or legal title, and the possessor may become registered proprietor. Implied consent or abandonment may interrupt adverse possession. Cases such as Elliston and Asher versus Whitlock illustrates these principles. Have a look at these cases. Thank you for going through this summary of week 1 in real property law. We have explored foundational property concepts, the doctrine of estates and native title, and the rules around fixtures and adverse possession. These principles form the building blocks for your study of real property. See you in the next video.